Hello, everyone, and welcome to Dad Bods and Bad Attitudes. We are your hosts. I'm Christopher Samella. He's Mark Davis. And if you don't know by now, we're just a couple of middle aged white boys with some dad bods and some bad attitudes. And we're here to talk about everything that's going on in this country today. We're going to start with Mark Davis, who's running for U.S. Congress, U.S. House of Representatives in Florida District 16, my co host. He's got a whole agenda for today's show. I'm very interested to see what he's got. He's got some kind of game for me, which I love these games. They're usually some sort of diabolical Joe Rogan riddle. So I'm interested to see what he's got for me today. And he's got a whole host of topics to touch on with regard to what's going on in the United States today. So, Mark, my brother in arms, my accomplice here, what do we got going on?
What is up, Chris? It's been a couple weeks since
Been a
we.
minute, dude.
Yeah, it feels good to get back in the saddle, huh?
Yeah,
Yeah. All
agreed.
right. Looking forward to Christmas coming up. Christmas is coming up, so we got. My wife has been shopping on Amazon. I get an Amazon delivery about every other day, pretty much every day. So
Oh, it's only every other day or not every other hour,
it's
like my
almost.
house?
Yeah, Amazon's doing a bang up job on Christmas this year. So, um, but
Have
yeah,
you invested in cardboard yet? Okay. Have you invested in cardboard?
I mean, the boxes is insane, every day. And then I have two little dogs and they go to the door and they bark every time a box shows up. So, but anyway, looking forward to Christmas. So hope you have a good holidays if we don't see each other again for that. But anyway, a lot of shit going on, Chris, in
Wow.
the world, and it's like the only thing that we can guarantee is that the next day is going to be even crazier than the day before, right? I mean,
Mark, that's a really good observation. I think that's kind of how it is. Like the only thing you can be sure of in this world, death, taxes, and tomorrow is going to be even more insane than today.
yes, every day. So anyway, I think we got a pretty good episode planned out here. We're going to talk about some current events, but first off, I got a quiz for you, and it's called the real or bullshit. Okay, so
Real or
real quick,
bullshit?
just real quick. And if you want to talk about something, we could talk about something, but real
No,
quick.
let's do this. This is right up my alley. I
Okay.
like to pride myself on being a preeminent bullshit detector. So if I can't figure out which of what you're saying is bullshit, then I need to hang up my bullshit detective card.
All right. So there's 10, maybe 11 questions. Are you saying that you're going to get them all right?
I'm going to say that I'm going to get 90%.
90. All right. Here we go. The Senate killed the ACA subsidy extension today.
That is real.
That is real. The U.S.
That is some
Go ahead.
sad realness right there.
That is real. That is sad. U.S. seized a Venezuelan oil tanker and Maduro called it piracy.
That's also some real shit right there. We seized an oil tanker.
He did. We're just seizing oil tankers. Putin publicly backed Venezuela after the tanker seizure.
Putin did what?
Putin publicly backed Venezuela after the tanker seizure.
Ooh, I don't know that one. Is there in this game? Are we allowed to come back to a
No,
question?
no.
Oh no.
Real or bullshit?
It sounds like he loves to make Trump his cuck. So anytime like Trump does something, like Putin will come out publicly and embarrass him. So Trump has to grovel back to him for some fucking reason. So I'm going to say it's true.
You are right. Very good. That was the first one you were teetering on, and you went to the right side. Good job.
Okay,
The My Pillow guy is running for the governor of Minnesota.
that is also true, I believe.
That is true. Con-
But hang on, before you move on, like that is America today. In all seriousness, America today is when you're someone of any notoriety and you go bust and your finances are shot, like you're in receivership and
Mm.
everything you own is going to be collected or you're going to be upside down. You run for government because
Yeah,
you're guaranteed money. You know what I
right,
mean? It's like you can trick people into voting for you and then you have money. Yeah.
right.
So that's what Donald Trump did because in 2015, I think part of the story here is that the banks were going to collect on this asshole and he was going to go belly up. And instead he fucked around and accidentally stumbled into the presidency. And we are a disaster show today because of that. But yes, my pillow, go fuck yourself, by the way. Mike
So
Lindell.
yeah, so Mike Lindell, actually, I have a funny story about him. He's in
Okay.
Minnesota,
Yeah.
and I worked for Menards, which was a Wisconsin company. So we
Yeah.
were right there, Wisconsin and Minnesota. So we did I was actually one of the buyers for his My pillow, and because I was a senior buyer over a few categories,
Right.
and he was one of the categories we were over. And so we had a deal with Mike Lindell and his team with negotiations and things. And every time he would send us like a sample, he would send a copy of his book. That he went from a crack addict to a regular guy or whatever. But he was pretty ruthless in some of those emails. Cussing and go. Yeah, it's pretty funny. But when he went nuts, there was a few things that he did, that caused all the stores to start taking their pillows off the shelf. Menards was actually one of the few retailers that kept his pillows on the shelf, and that went all the way up to the owner, and that was his choice. So I
Yeah.
guess Menards is okay with my pillow.
Menards is in the My Pillow business. Well, let me tell you something. I did many years ago buy a My Pillow,
Mm,
and that motherfucker sucked. And I want everybody to know not only is Mike Lindell a fucking traitorous douchebag, and just
mhm,
kind of a frumpy asshole, his pillows suck.
yeah.
To make matters worse, Mike, your pillows suck, dude. Some lumpy ass bullshit. They feel like you look. So go fuck yourself.
Yeah, they're nothing special, and I could go on for days about pillows. I used to buy pillows, so I study pillows, and they're just pillows, and they're like 29.99. So
Well, we'll have to talk about that after this.
let's go with Congress secretly agreed to universal health care at 3 a.m.
Bro, you
What?
think you're going to get me with that one?
I don't know. That was
You,
in
you don't even need to be the bullshit detector
all right.
to know that that one was bullshit.
Bullshit. U.S. sanctions.
I don't know the answer to that. I'll just say it's true.
That is true. That is true. See where
Wow.
that goes. Escalation.
It is escalation. That's a good way to put it.
Homeland Security said the tanker seizure was tied to anti-drug operations.
No, it was not.
That's what they said it was.
They said anti drug.
Yeah.
I thought they were saying it was related to the fact that it was illicitly transporting oil, or at least historically, that's why they had a warrant for it. So maybe they added to it, but
Yeah.
they're bullshit.
The last I saw was they were claiming it was tied to the drug operation. So
Okay. So you got me with one.
I give one, maybe we'll fact check that one.
Okay. Go to the producer.
Yeah. Indiana Republicans blocked Trump's redistricting plan.
That is true.
That is
And
true.
kudos to them.
Yeah, that's great. I was born in Indiana, so that makes me proud of the old Hoosiers there. So good job.
Good job, Hoosiers.
Trump announced a new Patriot Health Card on Truth Social.
This fucking asshole. I don't know. Can you describe it for me? I know if it's bullshit, maybe you don't have a description, but if it's real, maybe you have a description.
Yeah, it's just a discount card.
I'm going to say it's real.
It's bullshit.
Oh, you got me with that one.
Gotcha.
That sounds like something he would do, right?
That does.
That's
I'm
why
sure
you got me because, he's an asshole and,
it's
he,
dude. We're gonna get one.
yeah,
Um,
it's going to happen.
and then let's see here. A bipartisan group demanded Congress audit the Epstein files before release.
Yes.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about that a little bit more, but that's a big
Sure.
deal. The Epstein victims, they called on Congress to investigate the DOJ and the FBI to make sure that when they release the files that they haven't been tampered with. So I don't know how they do that exactly,
Yeah.
but there is obviously in today's age digital footprints on everything, so it'd be pretty hard to delete things and make it completely disappear. I'm assuming that's what they're thinking. But yeah, I think that's a good thing. As long as we get more eyeballs onto what the DOJ and the FBI is doing behind closed doors, that's good.
Absolutely have to because, I mean, these have become essentially they're almost criminal enterprises, but at the bare minimum, they operate as an arm of Donald Trump. They're an extension of Donald Trump. So whatever Trump wants is what they do. And it's from a law enforcement. I wouldn't even call it law enforcement. It's a persecution squad, if you will, the FBI under his Cross-Eye Patel's command. And then obviously with Scam Blondie, the DOJ is nothing but corrupt. It's completely weaponized to
Mm.
do nothing other than attack Trump's enemies. And when you talk about auditing, what was released, I find it hilarious considering it's been very well publicized at this point that the American taxpayers paid $1 million in overtime to the FBI to redact the 100,000 pages. And I'm sure that I don't know if I'm going out on a limb when I say the majority of the redactions were almost certainly one Donald J. Trump out of that fucking list of debauchery. So, what would be ironic is that we spent $1 million to have this thing redacted for them to, uh, you know, uh, subpoena the files, look at them, and see the unredacted versions, and compare the two, and see that the only things that were changed was taking Trump out. We'll find out.
I want to ask you something, Chris, and I'm getting a little off topic here, and I just kind of thought about it as you were saying it there. But I have a lot of MAGA that comment on my post and
Yeah.
follow me, more and more. And it's good, at least they're engaging with my posts. At least they see the truth, even if they don't agree with it. At least they're seeing it, even if it's from me. But a lot of times they say, why didn't Biden investigate? Why didn't Biden release the Epstein files? Why are Democrats going after it so hard right now? And I think we just need to kind of reset a little bit, and get our compass back. But I mean, the Epstein files were still under investigation under Biden, but Biden didn't run to release the Epstein files.
Right.
That wasn't really even a major topic. He wouldn't have any pressure to release the Epstein files. Nobody was really talking about the Epstein
No,
files,
not really. No.
you know, and it was what the Republicans were running on. The Republicans were running that they need to do everything, they need to move mountains to release these Epstein files, right? That's
Hmm.
what they were running on in their smaller groups, in their MAGA groups to hype
Yeah.
up the base, right?
Yeah.
So they brought that energy into the White House to open up these files. So all of a sudden, we're like, okay, yeah, open the files. That's great. And then when we see the president of the United States stop that effort, right? At point blank, just stop the effort,
Right.
say that we're not opening up these files. Now we all of a sudden stop and we look at the Republicans and we're like, what? Wait, that's what you guys wanted. Are you okay with him stopping? And now we look at Trump and we say, wait, are you a pedophile? You're a freaking pedophile, aren't you?
Yeah.
I mean, we thought maybe we knew that you were friends with Epstein, but we didn't know you were down in the dirty weeds with him like this. You're afraid to release the Epstein files. And then you come out with images, of him drawing petite looking girls with poetic wording throughout the body, with all this stuff. And it just
Gross.
upsets the energy so much and the people so much that we have to sit here and like take your energy and push it forward because you've always you opened up Pandora's box. You guys opened it up. This is what you did. And
Yeah.
and all of a sudden you found the true kingpin of pedophilia and you don't want to you don't want to admit it at this point, So I don't
Let me comment and say that if what you were saying was so outrageous, and and what you and I believe is not exclusive to us, it's echoed by millions of Americans, including Republicans and
know.
independents. If going out there and saying Donald Trump is a fucking pedophile and a sex trafficker and a rapist, if you can go out there and say that and not catch a lawsuit for the guy from the guy that sues literally everyone for everything, he fucking sued a major television broadcast network
Mhm.
because they slightly edited for brevity an interview with Kamala Harris. Of
Right,
course, they did the same thing with him. No lawsuit filed, but like that to that degree, like he is that litigious that he'll sue anybody about anything, and he makes money from it.
right,
But he won't sue me and you and anybody else for calling him a fucking rapist, pedophile, child trafficking cocksucker. Because guess what? If he gets into that and he has to sue somebody over that in discovery,
mhm,
when comes about, it's all going to be revealed.
right,
Why do people call you that, sir? What have you been hiding? In discovery, people are going to find out really what this was all about because these these allegations don't come from nothing. And I don't think that those women who went on the hill that day, who were the victims over the course of many years, that stood there with several U.S. has had to subject themselves to that. And that was just one of many times that they've tried to bring awareness to this. This is not a hoax. This is not a Democrat hoax like fuckface likes to
Right.
say. It's not. It's not. And you know that motherfucker would sue everybody under the sun if he thought he could get away with it, but he can't get away with it because
No.
he's all over that thing. As
Yeah.
we called it in one of our episodes, is the Trumpstein files. It's not just Jeffrey. They were probably business partners in this thing. And then we see in the files afterwards how much Epstein detested this motherfucker.
Right.
Like, this guy is the worst of the worst,
Right.
and he thinks you're a degenerate piece of shit.
Mhm.
So what does that say about you? I
Right.
mean, you don't have a single redeeming thing about you. I mean, furthermore, over the course of many years, whether it was seen with Epstein in the 90s, he did interviews on a Howard Stern show. There's weird pictures of him with his children, his daughters specifically. Like, this dude's a fucking freak and a weirdo.
Oh, yeah.
Like, there's all kinds of weird shit going on that
Well, he's a
just
woman.
makes my skin crawl.
I mean, he had the, grab him by the whatever,
Yeah.
and all that audio, and I'm sure there's more audio that NBC has that they haven't released, I'm sure that guy's a monster. But with the Epstein files too, is just this is gonna be the last point. And I think it's for me, it's like an awakening. I hope that this is the thing that wakes up like my parents or wakes up MAGA and says, wait, maybe I shouldn't have been listening to this guy. Maybe he was leading me wrong all along.
Yeah.
Maybe the things he said about crime and immigration, I need to double check some of that because maybe he was leading me wrong because he does have some questionable behavior in his past. That's
Yeah.
kind of like the holy grail that we want to get out of this and be like, just wake up, right? But we'll see what happens out of that.
I'm gonna bring up a thread from earlier. You can probably see it on the screen. I don't know if I can get it any larger. This was testimony today. Somebody asked him. This was a minister. Why? Question was asked of him. Why did you vote for? You voted for President Trump. Why did you vote for him? His answer was because I'm an idiot, or because I was an idiot, to be precise. Now, that's an honest answer.
Yeah.
That's an honest answer. It's the only honest answer I've ever heard out of him. Other than you would just have to say, I'm a racist who likes fascism or autocracy and need to be told what to think and do. That would be an honest answer too.
Yeah.
But I was an idiot is also the only honest answer that I'm willing to accept.
But like
Um,
even like racism isn't even an acceptable answer anymore because you're not getting the economy. Like if we had a really good economy and the racism and you're comfortable with the racism because of the good economy, that's one thing. But like we don't have anything good. There's nothing to brag about right now.
no,
So nobody's winning. We're all losing. We're all losing our health care. We're all losing our rights. We're all got troops in the streets. Everything is different right now because of this man
everything's different. Yeah.
and it's different in a bad way, and that brings us up to probably the biggest point today is the healthcare, that the Congress obviously voted today to either extend the ACA benefits for another 3 years is what I think they had on there, or to go with the Republicans' plan, which was some sort of health savings account that nobody knows anything about.
Right. Because they just made it up the night before, probably.
Yeah. So they voted and neither got passed. So stalemate, they got to go back and figure out what we're going to do with our whole entire health insurance. But for now, it's a stalemate and everybody's prices are going to go up come January 1st. So it's unfortunate.
Congratulations, America. You did
Yeah.
it again.
Yeah. Yeah. And that brings us back to what we were talking about. I think last time we talked.
That's right. Yeah. So why don't we touch on that? Like, if we could rewind the tape to our last episode. It was the day after those, I called them Chuck's Cucks, went ahead, the 8 Democratic senators who decided to vote with the Republicans to reopen the government. Now, Mark, what happened that day? Do you remember? You want to recount that as if nobody knows of what we're talking about because everybody does, but go ahead.
Yeah, so right, the Republicans said we're going to vote for your ACA benefit extension by a certain date if you agree to open up the government. Not that they would vote to pass the ACA extensions, just that they would open up a general vote. The Hateful Eight, you call them the Chuck's Cucks, I call them the Hateful Eight, decided to go ahead and do that, open up the government. So they lost all their negotiation. I feel like we had them on the ropes. The
Yeah.
America behind them, um, uh, everybody was. Even Trump supporters don't like the agenda that Republicans have for healthcare. I was looking at it today. It's 70 points in the red is what
Ay,
their
ay, ay.
stuff is, you know? And they don't agree with what the Republicans are doing. They don't trust what the Republicans are doing with healthcare, you know? And we had them at the ropes and everybody in the entire world was staring at them, ready for somebody to move, and Democrats moved first.
Yep.
And I think I said it last time, if you move first, you lose every
That's it.
time, right? And they moved first and they got to the vote today and now they're just going to keep kicking the can for who knows how long, you know?
So I think the estimates were estimate was that on average, healthcare costs, healthcare coverage is going to go up 26%. 26%. You know, inflation at its highest was, I think I think it was 5 to 6%, whatever it was, 2022, when it really reached a crescendo, and that was it may have gone as high as 9% year over year at one point, but I mean, at the end of Biden's term, I think it was 3% or under, and at the start of Trump's term, it was in that vicinity, and it's just crept upward ever since then. And what do you think 26% on healthcare costs is going to do? 26%. It's insane.
hmm well, like I said, I used to sell health insurance and,
Right.
um, 26% is a lot, but I'm seeing a lot more than that. I was just talking to a lady from, Arizona, and her rates went from $300 to $745, you know?
Dude, unbelievable.
Yeah, so people I don't think she can afford it. I'll talk to her, but people are gonna just not pay it, and they're not gonna have health insurance, right? And it's
I
a
think I think you're right. You know what? And you make a good point about um, when you say 26%, you're hearing more than that. I think what you have there, think about it in these terms. There are people like that woman you spoke with, and you gave other examples because you ran your own, I believe, last time
Mhm,
we had our episode. It doubled. So for some people, let's say it doubles, and other people that are protected in some form or fashion, it doesn't go up at all. And then it averages out wherever it averages out. Let's call it the 26% that they're estimating, but that's another case of what America is today. It's the haves and the have-nots.
mhm,
So there are people that their rates are going to go up through the fucking roof and they can't afford it. So guess what they're going to go? They're going to go without. They're the have-nots. And then there are people who are fortunate enough that maybe they're in some sort of PEO or something and they have some kind of buying leverage that is keeping their rates intact, or they already had it guaranteed out a year or whatever, and it's not going to go up,
mhm,
and not everybody's in that position, and that's the minority for sure.
yep.
And like that's America in a microcosm. Like right now, I mean, there are 8 billionaires in the United States that own as much wealth as the bottom half of America. I mean, 8 people. What are we talking about,
I mean, and it's the lower income people that keep getting screwed over and over, right? And
dude?
they're the ones
Yep.
that have to deal with this and this back and forth with Congress, and they don't even know if they're going to have health care on January 1st. And then you have Republicans talking about a health savings account, sending out $1,500. I don't know if they've shopped for health insurance, but $1,500 isn't going to get you anywhere for health insurance.
No,
With
they don't know.
without subsidies. So nobody so these people are sick, right? There's people with cancer that
Yeah.
are in stage 4 chemo that need medicine that have $0 insurance today that tomorrow might have to pay something for insurance and they can't afford it. So they're wondering, how do I maintain my medicine and how do I maintain my coverage? So they got to go through Christmas stressing out about, their health coverage and if they're even going to survive for another year. I mean, that's the reality of this is that if you take healthcare away from people, they die.
It's that simple. I mean, you put it in those sort of stark and very conclusive, definitive terms, that's what we're dealing with right now. And this is, you know, we've said MAGA is a death cult. Measles outbreak in South Carolina. We don't want to give kids the Hep B vaccine, whatever fucking reason, just making shit up at this point. We're gonna cut cancer research. It's a death cult. And and they don't care. And I mean, the people in power do not care, and they certainly do not care about their own constituency. They may be afraid of their own constituency because let's go to the Indiana situation. The folks in Indiana who voted against gerrymandering have been getting death threats.
Mm,
Okay, but from MAGA. So MAGA will do that, but at the same time, the ultimate decision makers in this thing, the people who have the stroke, they don't care about you, MAGA. They don't fucking care if you die. They don't care. They don't care if I die. They don't care if Mark dies. They don't give a shit. Greed, power. That's all they care about.
and they're
You
in the
know,
Eiffel Tower, right? And they
that's
don't.
it. They think they're removed from everything. Donald Trump doesn't know. Remember, he thought he invented the word groceries. Remember this a couple months ago?
Yeah,
Donald Trump's talking like he's the
yeah.
guy, that he's the etymology of the word groceries. Now he's saying affordability is a fake word, by the way.
Mm,
Um, so we let these animals from Doge, big balls, and these other prepubescent douchebags into our government. They took a hatchet to it with Elon. USA cut off, people dying in third world countries because we're not supporting them. I can give you an example of one thing I saw with my own eyes that was by virtue of USAID. I went on a cruise with my wife and daughter.
oh, nice.
It had a stop in Belize,
Mhm.
and we did an excursion in the country of Belize, and it took you on a bus through the countryside, and we went to ancient Mayan ruins.
Oh, nice.
Very cool, really mind blowing stuff.
Cool.
Awesome. There, right at the entry, there is a sign out of the ground, big sign, and it carved into it was basically, and I'm paraphrasing, that this archaeological dig was made possible by USAID.
Mm, interesting.
Okay. Now, that's not necessarily saving people from malaria and smallpox, but this is historical stuff. This is important work. And for the fraction of a fraction of a fraction of the US GDP that it costs to support countries, small, tiny countries like this, that don't have any wealth,
Mhm.
to do things like this and salvage their own culture and history, or do something even more important, like protect their citizens from health emergencies, it's just such a smart investment. The goodwill it buys you, like it's just you get more with honey than you do with what's the expression?
You get more
You,
with fun.
you
I remember what it is.
but you know what I'm saying. Like I don't even remember the expression, your mom would say. But I mean, you just get more when you're being
Rather
kind
than
to
rather
people, more likely to
than apples.
cooperate with you. They're only gonna if you just impose your will and you try to rule by fear, you only get compliance to the degree that they don't fear you anymore. And then when they don't fear you anymore, you're not going to get that compliance.
Yeah.
So we've used the arsenal of diplomacy for the last 75 years all around the world. We don't want to do that. We want to end NATO or leave NATO high and dry. Fuck Ukraine. Fuck the people in Gaza. We're going to turn it into a shopping mall. We're not going to help any third world countries. We're not interested in science, culture, history, or anything else. It's just let's enrich a couple asshole billionaires, most of bunch of whom are not from America, and Donald Trump and a giant grifting Ponzi scheme that the U.S. government has become. But because that's what's going on right now, and that is the platform. I wish MAGA would listen,
Yeah.
and some of them are coming around. I don't know how many. I don't know what that percentage is, but like this minister said today on the stand, I was an idiot. So,
Good.
uh,
I'll have to look that up and check that out. So what's your opinion on healthcare? Are you a single payer, or do you believe that we should have private companies, or what's your opinion?
yeah, I mean, healthcare is such a complex beast that only every other developed nation on the face of the earth has figured out how to have universal health coverage or something very similar. It's that complex. Yet here in America, I can give you an example of something that from an acquaintance of mine. He's actually a colleague of mine. I'm not going to name names, but he and his wife when chose to go to India to have have a child.
Oh,
That um, you know, unfortunately, there were challenges with them in trying to conceive. So they opted. They had been through this here in America, and without saying too much, they had been through this here in the States. It was a tragic disaster.
mm,
So rather than go through that again, they chose to go to India overseas, where they were able to conceive, like I think in 3 months. And, 9 months later, obviously, had a beautiful baby girl. So in a year, they 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 were all taken care of. He said the doctors were phenomenal. He wasn't stressed out 24/7 like he was when he was here. It's a nightmare. I can't tell you the number of stories I've got, between my brother who passed away, my daughter being in the hospital, my
yeah,
wife being in the hospital when she had emergency appendix surgery. It's all horrible. It's
yeah,
all horrible. So, yeah, single payer through the government, sanctioned healthcare that we pay for collectively,
yeah,
like it or not. It's the most efficient way to do it is we all kick into the pot, and when somebody needs it, they get it. It's that fucking simple. It's not a
right.
complicated thing. And then we pay the doctors who are now motivated to care for people instead of motivated to hurry people in and out because of how billing is done nowadays.
Why do you think it is that MAGA, and I don't think it's only MAGA, and I would even say there are some, moderate Democrats
Mhm.
that like the current system or want to maintain some sort of bones of the current system,
Yeah.
want these big insurance companies to be in the middle of healthcare. Like why
Yeah.
are they, because they talk about these insurance companies. They always complain about the insurance companies that they're ripping people off, that they're charging too much money, that they're not approving care, that their policies are confusing, that they're lying, cheating, stealing, all the above, but yet they work and fight tooth and nail to keep those insurance companies employed. I don't get it. I mean, is
There's
it?
2 answers.
Yeah,
There's 2 answers because there's 2 different audiences, and there's 2 different, stakeholders in this equation. There are the decision makers, ostensibly the decision makers who are our government representatives, our elected representatives. What their interests are, it's very simple. You know it, I know it. Big insurance pays them money,
yeah,
gives them money. Democrats, Republicans, they take the money. They take the money. That's it. And then they don't get in the way of what the big insurance companies want, and they don't back universal health care or a similar single
yeah. But
payer option.
how does that filter down to the people that vote for
Yeah.
them?
So here's the talking point. It's very simple. You know what they did, and they did this during the shutdown
Yeah,
because they said the Democrats were holding out so that they could give or guarantee that illegal immigrants would get health care paid for by the citizens.
hmm,
So that is their lever that they use. They jam that. That's their wedge that they use to Democrats or Republicans or liberals, on one side and conservatives on the other, and wedge us apart.
yeah,
So MAGA politicians will tell the MAGA base that the Democrats want all of the illegal immigrants to get free health care and all these other benefits, by the way. And that's not even the most of it. I mean, it goes beyond. And
okay,
even if it weren't the illegal immigrants, because years ago, basically, you remember the old adage, the welfare queen. This is what Republicans have used for years to basically it's stigmatize
hmm,
a certain demographic, and it was the black community before it was the illegal immigrants, and make it sound like, oh, if we have a single payer system, you're paying for all these welfare queens to get their coverage. You know what I mean? And it's like, number one, it's all bullshit because it's not grounded in any kind of real reality. And number two, it's just fucking stupid economics
right,
because having everybody kick something in actually brings the cost of everything down. And when you take out the middleman that has to have his fingers in the pie, costs go down. But insurance companies don't want that.
But why would MAGA care so much about potentially the fallout of some immigrants getting
Yeah, because they're racist motherfuckers. That's it. It's not even complicated.
why would they care so much about the fallout of potentially some immigrants getting healthcare versus a system that we know today is broken where it just keeps giving it up billions and billions of dollars to these conglomerate companies that turn around and then deny you coverage. I don't get the logic there, you know? They keep feeding this machine that in turn keeps denying them coverage and raising their rates.
Yeah. So let me give you the quote. This is it, dude. This is it because this is what if you're a racist and you can't accept other people different from you in a different, economic position from you, or maybe they're even in the same economic position because they're different from you. So therefore you don't want them to have that coverage, whether they're, an illegal immigrant, they're black or whatever. This
Mm,
was LBJ's quote back in the 60s. If you can convince the lowest white man he's better than the best colored man, he won't notice you're picking his pocket. Hell, give him somebody to look down on and he'll empty his pockets for you. So they don't care if it hurts them as long as it hurts somebody else.
yeah, we need to get out of that mindset.
Totally. Oh, I
You
mean, dude, it's dragging us back. It's dragging us down.
right, that's archaic, and it's unfortunate because with Obama, we were working our way there, and Trump just came in and just stopped it. All that progress. But I still don't fully agree that, everybody that believes or or is against single payer systems are racist, and that's not why they're voting for it against their interests. It's just that that's what they've been told. They've been told that the old system in America is the right way, and these
They're
people,
gonna get they're gonna get relieved of that viewpoint very quickly.
yeah, they keep getting fooled and fooled over and over when people get their claims denied and they go bankrupt and, but then politicians just keep selling them the same story, you
That's
know,
it, dude.
insurance companies keep getting richer and richer and richer.
They keep plunking down those bucks into their campaign coffers, and these politicians do what they're told. It's that simple. We take the money.
What are we scared about to get rid of the insurance companies? What are we scared about? That industry goes elsewhere. You're telling me those people that sell insurance, that work at those jobs that sell healthcare, you're telling me they can't go sell something else? That they can't find any, and plus they're still gonna
Yeah.
have supplemental things to sell, you know?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about people's lives. The quality of our lives is ranked, one of the lowest. We're the most
Yeah.
overweight, we're the most unhealthy. And
Yeah.
that's largely due to our poor healthcare system because it's
Yeah.
so complicated to get any coverage. And you don't ever want to go in because you don't want to have to pay an exorbitant bill, to get something looked at.
There's a fairly recent episode of South Park I invite everyone to watch. All of them have been hilarious, and some of them more disgusting than hilarious recently. But there's a good one where Cartman tries to navigate the American healthcare system. I don't know if it was when he was trying to, I think it was when he was trying to lose weight and Monjaro or whatever.
Mm,
I think it was something like that. But like, it just shows how circular it is, and it makes you insane because they have you chasing your tail to try to get coverage.
yeah. Oh, it's and like I said, I worked the industry. I know how brutal it is, and how pieced together and chopped up it is and fusing. It's unfortunate that we have such a rich country and then everybody says, "Oh, we got these trillions of dollars in debt." Of course we do, but we still have trillions of dollars coming in. Our GDP is the highest in the country ever. We're the richest country ever. It's just that
Yeah.
we don't tax correctly. We don't spend our money correctly, but we can afford universal health care. We could flip that switch, and
It would save us money. It would save us money. Here's the stupid thing about it, to your point about, like, the industry and where those people would go, and don't believe for a second that they're saving the industry for the people that sell insurance because they couldn't give a shit less about them. This is about the insurance executives.
yeah.
And then a couple dozen of those that there are, and maybe some vice presidents, because they're all surrounded by 38 vice president assholes that don't know what their jobs are.
Mhm.
So that whole echelon of people in the business, that's who is trying to save their own ass. They're not trying to save the people on the front lines or the coders, the billing people, the salespeople. But what would happen if you had a much better healthcare system is number one, it would be less expensive. Number two, better outcomes, healthier people, healthier workforce, more productive, therefore more productive, more GDP for the United States, more wealth created, more jobs. It's
Right.
that simple. It would just be a win-win-win all the way down the fucking line. But because people get bribed
So much for
and some rich insurance pieces of shit have to keep the status quo, this is what it is.
it's just it's just unfortunate that we're such a greedy country, and I think Trump is just really exposing how much greed there
Yes,
is and backdoor deals, and he's just reveling in it.
he is. And this whole thing, you're right, Mark, because he is a reflection of the worst of America.
Mhm.
He is a reflection of the worst of America. I'm not gonna listen. I'm not in a cult, so I'm not gonna say Joe Biden or Obama is the best or whatever. But I mean, you made the point of looking at Obama, and then we went to Trump. Obama was a guy who started from modest means. Single mom, Rhodes Scholar, incredibly well educated, successful, community organizer, attorney, did all these things, became a junior senator,
Mhm.
went from that right up to running for president. I mean, think about the things he accomplished. And he's a great speaker and he's articulate and he's smart. He's just a smart
It's
guy. We look down on intellectualism, we look down on intelligence now. And it's been, Carl Sagan has a famous quote from 30 years ago. Frank Zappa has quotes about it from 40 years ago. So, like we've allowed, they saw, and the two of them know, the two of them knew, and both of them died at a young age from, things that probably treatable today. They knew this is driven by Republican, conservative, right wing viewpoints. That is what all the dumbing down of America stems from because it's driven by greed. What
agree.
you're saying, it's all greed. The entire picture is Donald Trump is a reflection of the worst of America. And the worst of America is all for me, none for thee. Go fuck yourself. I
Yep.
got to get mine.
And there's
And
and that has
dude,
that has an audience, I guess. That has a 77,000,000, you know, person audience,
yeah.
you
If
know?
he won legitimately, which some people don't
They
think he did.
that greed that they're, that only there's one winner type, just a few winners,
Yeah.
everybody else is a loser,
Yes.
you
That's
know?
it. That's
Mm,
zero sum.
yeah, and as a world and as a Europe is doing a good job getting away from that, and then here we are is going back into such a constricted economy. It just,
100%. We're
set
over here bailing out the farmers again.
Yeah, 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 I think they sent $12 billion to farmers. And then farmers I saw a lot of farmers get on, TV and say, "That's great, but that's not enough." First off, that's not enough. Second off, we don't necessarily want this. We want to farm. We wanna sell goods. We want even trade. We want our livelihoods back, They don't wanna be made fun of as the welfare queens, They're getting a lot of shit, right?
Right. The shoe's on the other foot now. The
Yeah,
shoe's on the other foot now, guys. If you're
like,
a farmer, voted for this.
social media posts and even on the news and things like that, they're going hard on farmers, saying like, you got to learn how to vote or, what's in your best interest or find out what a tariff is, like, but anyway, yeah, that's interesting. I
I
don't want
heard
to get
one
away
guy said,
from
Mark, I heard one guy say, I want trade, not aid. I think that's a that's a very basic credo, and I think that I'm sure that if you were a farmer, that sounds great, and if you were I can imagine these are men, hardworking men, and probably women, but particularly the men, just knowing the male ethos that I want to make my own way. I don't want somebody. I don't want handouts. Now you're taking handouts because of the way you voted. You voted for this. If you voted for this, and in the Bible Belt and the Sun Belt and all the areas where I think there's obviously a lot of agriculture in California, but not that stuff. What they call them row crops. So if you're a row crop farmer, you probably voted for Trump, and this is what you got.
I I agree. But I think too, I think what they heard was they heard tariff, right? Or Trump said tariff, and I think what they heard was or strong on China. maybe, right? They heard tariff or
Yeah.
Trump's tariff, maybe they thought that meant strong on China, that he's gonna be strong on China, and that's always been a Republican talking point. But
Yeah.
I don't think I don't I've talked to a lot of farmers, and they're intelligent people. I come from Indiana, central Indiana. I went to school with farmers. They didn't expect Trump to put 80% tariffs on China right away, or 150% tariffs, or 180% tariffs, and then, come out with a board that had 15 different countries listed, and one of
Ah,
them.
like, it was like every country, dude. Remember they had, like, the islands where they're only penguins, like the Marshall Islands or some shit?
So they're seeing that this is shoot from the hip. There's no
Yeah.
plan here. The countries are absorbing this too, and they see that there's no plan, so they're not playing along. As a matter of fact, what I'm hearing is Canada, China are looking elsewhere, and China's getting business from all over Europe because Europe's looking elsewhere. So I don't understand
Imagine that.
how.
Imagine how
Mm,
stupid we are that we allowed that to happen.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's disappointing. So, we got away from health. I wanna go back to health real quick.
Yeah,
Measles came back to South Carolina.
I know. You're giving me some more good news.
Yeah, yeah, that was an interesting one. We don't have to talk about this for too long, but more than 200, South Carolinians were quarantined, and over 100 actually had cases of measles. So,
This
and
was eradicated. It was declared eradicated in 2000.
in the United States, correct, right. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
What are we doing, man? We're going backwards. Like, we're listening to, like, that whole anti-vax thing is either like granola eating lefty morons or these extreme right-wing MAGA conspiracy theorists that will believe anything, the most absurd shit, whether it's chemtrails, the moon landing was fake, 9/11's an inside job. Take your pick, shove it up your ass. I don't really care. You're a fucking idiot if you believe any of that shit.
right,
So, like, the idea that we're not going to vaccinate children, and this is what's going to happen. We're going to allow deadly diseases to resurface in our communities for no reason.
yeah,
I mean, that is emblematic of America today. We have to own this shit. It's not just Trump. We put Trump there. We got to own this ignorance, this
right.
anti intellectualism.
And this isn't even like a MAGA thing. This isn't even a Republican thing. You know what I mean? This is that Maha thing. This is an RFK Jr. thing. This is YouTube, going crazy on YouTube conspiracy things.
That's
And
what I mean. Yeah.
it's built
YouTube doctors.
YouTube doctors, and it's filtered down to Florida, where DeSantis was standing next to some sort of health expert and said that they removed the mandate for vaccines for children in Floridian schools.
Yeah.
I don't
It was
think,
a state surgeon general. That
yeah.
guy's an asshole.
So I don't think MAGA voted for that. I don't think Republicans voted for that either. That's RFK Jr. RFK Jr. is a Democrat, right? I mean, but he's Democrat, but he's like so far left crazy with
Yeah.
it,
He's out there.
with his medicine. I wouldn't even say left. He's just nuts, right?
Yeah.
He's in la la land. But then these people all of a sudden follow RFK Jr. because it's underneath the Trump umbrella and they're okay with
Right.
this, just nodding up. They didn't vote for that. It doesn't make any
Well,
sense.
no, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, really, at the end of the day, like, that stuff is just out there, crazy conspiracy bullshit. I really don't have an explanation for it other than it's a byproduct of the anti-intellectualism push in this country that seems to have been, it's been slowly materializing over the course of a couple decades. I mean, really, especially the last 10 years has been entirely accelerated.
Yeah.
And the advent of social media, YouTube has just made it worse exponentially.
While putting our here there, I mean, you just fast forward that shit into our government, and then that's a virus of itself. And then now it's going into Florida and it's going all over the world.
Let me give you a couple of quick headlines,
Yeah.
Mark, before we wrap it up. You touched on a couple of that gentleman, Kilmar Obrego Garcia, was released from ICE custody at the instruction of a judge.
Was he just released from ICE custody?
Um, I don't know, within the last day he was released.
Well, if he had to go back into like some sort of local custody or if he was allowed to go home or what.
Yeah. Let me see if we can find out.
I mean, that's a big deal because that was the dude that Pam Bondi said would never step foot in America again. And I think Trump said that too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he was an example of their incompetence and corruption, like in a tangible, crystallized form. This one man was just picked out and, persecuted by them. That just a random fucking guy. Many other criminals, real criminals, or people that they knew for sure they could have pinpointed and gotten, convicted and thrown out of here.
Mm,
Plenty of guys probably out there. That's the people that we were told they were going after, but of course we knew in reality they weren't going after those people. He just symbolizes that. So it just says that he was picked up by his legal team from the prison in Pennsylvania. But the DOJ tried to indict Letitia James again,
so
failed again. You saw the Indiana state Republicans reject the calls to gerrymander.
yep,
So fuck you, Trump. So there's just a lot going on. That's three L's for Trump, three L's for the biggest loser of all time.
yep.
You
And
know,
local, we got Miami picked up the mayor of
right?
Miami. So a Democrat and is going to be the mayor. So that's great news too. And
First
that's
time in nearly 30 years.
so
It'll be
I
like
look at
28, 29 years.
true-ish because there was an independent that was from 2001 to 2009.
Right, but first Democrat that won the election.
Yeah, but he's a Democrat now, so he was a but anyway, that's fantastic news all
Yeah.
around. Yeah. But yeah, it's great when you hear about the public, rising up and doing the right thing and I hope the executive branch here just doesn't go all out and make it very, very difficult, to voice our opinions and to vote, correctly in 2026. But
Yep.
I was listening to somebody explain that a little bit too, that our voting mechanism is so spread out and it's not linked up and it's not integrated. That would be very hard to, widespread manipulate an election. But anyway, it's just weird that we're having those conversations. But yeah, crazy.
Indeed. All right, my friend. Unless you have anything else, we'll wrap it up with today's episode.
All right. Sounds good, man. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. So, for everyone watching at home, we appreciate you. We are Dad Bods with Bad Attitudes. We'll be coming back at you with another episode probably in the new year. Have a great holiday. Have a great new year. And keep hope alive because, we have guys like Mark in the fight, another dog in the fight, Mark Davis for Congress, Florida District 6. If you're in the district, vote for him next year because we have a lot of fighters in this country. We're not going down without a fight. We're not letting this orange piece of shit take it from us, without a fight. So keep
Yep.
hope alive. Have a great holiday. Have a great new year and peace.